track.
Welcome to Immerse Podcast 360. I'm your host, Maserati. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. No matter where you are in this metaverse world, we're going to continue to bring you the best quality content and formula that we know how. We want to thank you guys for all the shares, and subscriptions and all the love you guys have been sharing with us and giving us here at Immerse 360 on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and now TikTok. We want to thank you guys for tuning in on this lovely Sunday night for a very special episode of Beyond the Game. And do we have a very special guest for you guys tonight? This is being brought to you by Involve Social Civic Club, Bracell Family Insurance Agency, Stepping Stones LLC of Strop City, Louisiana, and your own Kick Thrones right here in Strop City, Louisiana. And we're going to visit with the class of 1994 at BHS. I want to say one of the most slept on, I don't want to say, but I'm going to say slept on quarterbacks, and probably one of the most prolific quarterbacks in Strop City history that no one seems to mention. But we're going to get into the meat and potatoes of this today. Like I said before, he is a graduate of 1994 in Strop City, Louisiana. He was an all-district QB and punter, all Northeast honorable mention. He was a two-time Black College national champion at Southern University. And here he is now. He is the owner and director and co-founder of operations for Black Heart Association, where he focuses on bulk of his energy and efforts, on providing the highest level of outreach and community engagement. With over a decade of public service and experience, he has always had a heart for undeserved communities and passion for service. After witnessing his wife Tara suffering 3 heart attacks in 2014, he and Tara now have made their mission to eliminate heart disparities in the communities of colored people. Mr. Robinson, a native of Strop City, Louisiana, graduate of Southern University A&M, where he earned his master's in public relations and a bachelor's in communications. I give you none other than the proud Ram graduate, and probably I'm going to go down in debating probably the best quarterback in Ram football history. I give you none other than Mr. Fred Hoston is in the building. How you doing today, Freddie?
I'm wonderful, man. I'm wonderful.
We're so glad to have you on, brother. For the people that I always debate this, Fred, and I go into arguments about this, about who was the probably the best quarterback in Strop City history. But for the people that may not know Fred Hoston, they heard your name through the timelines, kind of give them a briefing about growing up in Strop City and how you went on to become a not only prolific quarterback, but athlete, academically and athletically.
Well, man, growing up in Strop, and I always tell people, man, I wouldn't have it any other way. There's just something about growing up in a small town. It's different. Just the way we view life, man, is so different, especially now that I'm older and moving through a different major cities and just seeing how people move and how people look at life, man. I wouldn't have it any other way growing up in Bastrop, man. I've been blessed to be surrounded with nothing but love, nothing but genuine respect for human relationship and humanity itself. So that's really just kind of what shaped and molded me into the person I am, man. Growing up in Bastrop, every sport, whatever was in season, that's what we were doing. That's what the kids were doing. We were outside kids, and, we didn't have a lot of sport-specific training and specialties and all that. But what we had was a core group of people and, homeboys that whatever was in season, we knew that core group of people were going to be involved in that activity. And we believed in healthy, friendly competition, man. It was all about being the best in your group, and that's what made you better. And that's what helped me become who I am, who I was as an athlete, who I am as a person. It was always about being better than yesterday and having a little bit of bragging rights in the group of people that you run with, man. So that was where it was at for me.
Most definitely, most definitely. You know, and it always goes back to the foundation. You know, I want to jump into, you know, your academics. You know, you were one of the smarter students in your class. You know, kind of elaborate on how your academic fundamental base helped you throughout your high school career.
Well, to be honest with you, man, I just always loved school, and it was probably just because I always loved being around my peers and being around people who, you know, I knew had my best interests at heart, and vice versa. We just, you know, love and laughter, man, was always present in the school setting when we came through. So I think it was just my love for school, man, and being around people that cared about me, that made me feel good about wanting to be good. You know what I'm saying? I remember in kindergarten, I was at HB Adams at the time, and Miss Sawyer, I remember her name, man, like she was standing in front of me. She wrote the word brown on the board, and she said, "Who can tell me what this word is?" And there was nothing but silence. And I just blurted out brown. And Miss Sawyer gave me this little small plastic airplane, probably cost 2 cents. But that meant the world to me. And I think it was at that point, man, that the light went off of my head that, hey, if you're a good student, the good things are going to come to you. You know, that was something small, but I think I saw past that small airplane, and I just thought about, if I'm a good student academically, man, nothing but good things are going to come for me. So it was at that point, I just always dove into academics. I always wanted to be one of the best in my class. I always wanted to be that kid that knew the right answer. And that's where it started.
Right. You know, I had a lot of our teachers been spoke about, and I had quite a few on the show, such as Miss Tappan, Miss Quinn, Coach Thaxton, Coach Sam Jones. Who were some of those teachers and inspirations for you coming up during basketball days?
Say, man, you named them. Miss Tappan, Miss Quinn, Coach Johnson, Senior Lucas, Miss Goins. Man, the beautiful thing about when I came through, I really believe that you would be hard pressed to find a teacher that wasn't operating in what they were called to do. Looking back on it, even becoming an educator myself, I look back on all the people that touched my life, man. These people were preparing us for life, not just to be able to be successful on a test, but they were instilling in us the things that we needed that was going to transcend any industry we all fell into. We were going to be able to take some skills and character traits with us that would allow us to be successful. Man, I look at Miss Tappan and Miss Quinn, and they taught us how to think critically, how to be analytical, and how to communicate. And those things right there, I don't care what you do, man, you're going to be successful in any field. And they put that stuff in us.
Right. And, you know, we're just so elated to have you on, Freddie. Like I say, man, I've been debating this thing for quite a few years, and we're going to get into how you feel about this conversation about the top 11 that Aaron Dietrich they just did on the Aaron Dietrich show about some of the best to come through. But before we go to intermission, I wanted to ask you about being a dual athlete. You were quite good in baseball too. How do you feel about young blacks in baseball right now?
Say, man, people always ask me, through the years, what did you play in high school? And I would name, basketball, baseball, football. And quite naturally, the next question is, what was your favorite? Which one did you like most? Baseball was the first sport I played in an organized setting, and I fell in love with it from day one. And it's always to this day been my favorite sport to watch and participate in. And like I said earlier, man, every sport that was in season, we played it. Black kids played baseball where I'm from, and we played it on a high level. As I grew through the years, I always wanted to be a collegiate baseball player, man. But for whatever reason, it just didn't seem like that's what those that be wanted to see happen. I'm not knocking any other athlete that came through Bastrop, regardless of race. African-American kids played baseball, and we played at a high level. And to be quite honest with you, and to be frank, we had the athletes to win state titles in baseball. We just didn't get embraced. We didn't get the love. We didn't get the nurturing that we needed to see it through. So a lot of us said, you know what? my love for the game is being taken away. My passion for the game is being taken away. And for us, if we're not passionate about it and we don't love it, man, we feel like, hey, I'm going to get out the way. You know what I'm saying? Especially because we had other things to fall into. But to me, man, baseball has always been where it's at. If I could rewind the times, I would have stuck it through all the way through high school and let the chips fall, because my heart still is wrapped around baseball, man. It was just unfortunate that we didn't have those figures in place who had gone before us and were in positions to grab a hold of us and say, hey, man, this is where it's at, and you need to stick it through. So that's the only thing that I feel like was missing, that support system, that when things looked grim or things looked like they weren't happening like they should have, we weren't being treated fairly, we weren't being looked at fairly or equally, somebody would say, hold on, young blood, hold tight, stay the course, just show up and do the work, and it's going to work in your favor.
Right. And, we're going to revisit that, because now when we take this intermission, we're going to come back and we're going to talk about the high school career of one of the most slept-on quarterbacks, not only athletic, but academically. It speaks for itself. The accolades are still there somewhere at Bastrop. But when we come back, we're going to talk about one of the best to ever do it. We're still here with Fredrick Hoston, class of 1994. Debatable who's the best, when we return after this short intermission.
Immerse 360 Podcasts focuses on uplifting rural and urban areas and dire conditions with no solutions by shedding light on pioneers, athletes, and political figures who have made an impression on Northeast Louisiana and surrounding areas. Immerse understands the social and civic needs to love, learn, live, and laugh. So, tap in every Sunday and Wednesday at 8 p.m. on all social networks and platforms. Always remember, Immerse 360.
Welcome back. We're still here with one of the best quarterbacks to ever do it in Strop City history. I'm going to make that argument. I'm going to stand 10 toes down on it. We're here with Fred Hoston, class of 1994, and this is being brought to you by Northeast Counseling of Strop City, Louisiana, Starter Networks, and Morehouse Community Development. Brother Freddie, we're going to jump into the meat and potatoes of the situation with you in the argument that's very debatable about who probably was the best quarterback in basketball history. Kind of take us down memory lane when you knew that you were that guy.
I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I never really looked at it like I was that guy. I just always knew that I could play, I could compete. I knew that I was a hard worker, man. I knew that I was I've always been a thinker. I never, there's guys that was on either side of the ball that was always better athletes than me, man. They were always, there was bigger guys, stronger guys. I never was going to be that guy that if you looked at on paper from a physical standpoint, that I was going to be the guy that just jumped off the page. I was blessed that, again, I was in environments that helped me think critically, to develop, those critical thinking skills, those analytical skills, those quick analytical skills, man, that kind of push me to the forefront from a quarterback standpoint. And then as I had small successes, that helped me become more and more confident in who I was and what I was capable of doing and what I brought to the table. I always knew that I wasn't a rah-rah guy. I didn't do a lot of talking, but I knew that, I was going to always be a guy that could lead by example. And if, when the chips were down, I was going to be the calm in the storm. I think that's what separated me, was the fact that I never was rattled. You know what I'm saying? I always had that ability to just stay even keeled and think in the moment. And I think that's what kind of propelled me to the front as far as that position goes.
Right. You're very humble, but let's just keep it 100, right? Let's go down memory lane. I got a chance to see the Sean Edmonds, the Ruben Randalls, what his name was, Dieter Ridgel. It's been quite a Darren Anderson. It's been a quite few quarterbacks that could chunk that thing, and they were mobile. But Fred, yourself, I played with you, and I remember people don't understand you was putting up close to 300 some yards a game, and you was averaging about 60 to 70 yards rushing. And let's go to it. Let's go back into the mind of Fred Hoston. What do you profound or remember most about your basketball career?
Honestly, man, what sticks out the most was I think our group of guys, you know, when we always had great athletes, but for whatever reason, the records never really showed it. I remember when we were my class was the only class that had the freshman high school where it was all ninth graders on one campus for that whole year. And I remember being bused over to the high school for practice, and you know, you see guys that you always looked up to in the community, guys that you looked up to on Friday nights, you know, when you were a little freshman running around, and you see the likes of Jimmy Turner and you know, John Tappan, who would come out for the summers and do his summer workouts, and you would see Michael Jackson. You would see these guys, man, out there competing, and you were like, man, one day, you know what I'm saying? So, and then as you get over there and you start strapping it up with these guys, man, and then you look around, and you say, hold on, man, I can get in the mix with these guys. So I think once we came from the ninth grade center, we came with a different mindset, man. We came with, hey, we ain't coming over here to be a part. We coming over here to set the tone. We coming over to be the thermostat, not the thermometer. We gonna set the tone. We gonna change the atmosphere. We gonna change the environment. And in my opinion, in my humble opinion, I think we did that. You know, we didn't win state titles. We didn't even make it to the playoffs, but we were that group, I think, that started to shift how not only how other schools saw Bastrop, but how us as athletes saw ourselves, how Bastrop saw Bastrop. Like, man, we can compete. And I think that's what makes me feel good about the group that I came through with. We were the tone setters. You know, you got Ivory Brown and all those guys that came behind us, and they took it to another level. But we, in my opinion, man, we set the tone as far as work ethic. We set the tone as far as you know, people respecting us and understanding that, hey, man, them boys up there in Bastrop ain't playing. And that's what always made me feel good. I ran into Don Showers one time in Monroe, and he asked me when I graduated. I said 94. He said, so you was the quarterback when we came up there and had that shootout and barely got out of there alive. I said, yeah, that was me. Those are the things that stand out. Because if you think about it, Destrehan and West Monroe played for the state title that year. We lost to Destrehan by 3, lost to West Monroe by a touchdown because we ran out of time. So we could have very easily been in New Orleans that year, man. And that's the things that stand out to me. So that's what I hang my hat on. That's what I love about our group that came through. We competed. We did things the right way. And we changed the mindset of the people around us, man.
Right. You know, you always have to go back to the trendsetters. Like you say, the record didn't compensate the effort and the athleticism and the team, the quality team we had. But people always fail to realize we were playing 5A football. And I always tell people, I hang my hats on the 3 state championships that they won in the latter years after we left in 2006, 7, and 8. But it was 4A football. And people want to make an argument. Man, it's different. We had our own TV show. We had commercials to Lance Sawyer, Jameis Smith. So we had guys, you know, the things they talk about now about this All-American, it was just overshadowed back then. But these guys were doing it. We were doing it big in 5A football. Kind of explain to them how the wars we went through every Friday.
Like you said, man, LA2 5A, I don't care. You'd be hard-pressed to find a tougher district across the country at that time. People were talking about LA2 5A because if you think about it, man, we had guys that were going on to play big-time college football, and we lined up against them every night. You know, Jameis Spencer and Larry Wright, and you know these guys, man. We played with some real serious football players, man. And if you look at it, even with Washita at that time, If it would have been 30 degrees and pouring rain, you're talking about a different outcome of that game. So 2-5A wasn't it wasn't to be slept on, man, and it wasn't a walk in the park. We had to strap it up every night with an understanding that we out here fighting, literally fighting for our respect, and also fighting for the outcome of the game, man. And all of those games, we were right there in it. We were right there in it, and I ain't scared to talk to nobody about where I played and who I played against and what the outcome looked like, because they know. They know. I played at Southern with Lance Jackson. He was safe at West Monroe when we came through. They know. They know.
Right, and that's why I wanted to have you on, so the latter generation, so they'll know. Like when you guys get to talking about quarterbacks and who did this and who did that, you need to know that Fred Hoston was one of the best to ever do it. And the accolade speaks for itself. The people that was there in the early 90s, when, like you say, when the program went from 0-10 to a 4-6, I think we did. And then we did a 6-4. So we know we was part of that era that changed the dynamics of how people looked at Strop City football. And we are so glad that we was able to look back and be like, hey, we helped started that. But Freddie, you've been dealing with some things throughout your life, and now that you have your own foundation and you're adamant about the passion and heart conditions of people, but kind of share us about the traumatic experience you had dealing with your wife, Tara.
Oh, yeah, man. Back in 2014, man, my wife suffered 3 heart attacks over the course of 3 days. The first 2 days, she was sent home and told to follow up with her PCP because it was probably stress. The second time we got sent home at 11 a.m., man, by 4 o'clock, I was beating up the highway trying to get her back because she fell to her knees, same episode. This time, when we made it to the hospital and they hooked her up to the machine, she was still in the middle of the crisis, and that's how they caught it, and that's how they were able to, rush her back for emergency surgery. She died during surgery, went to heaven. That's a whole nother story. God sent her back and said, not now. And we've been fighting this fight ever since, man, because the crazy thing about it, she didn't have any underlying conditions, no high blood pressure, no cholesterol issues, nothing that would make you say, hey, your heart is not in a good place. So we've made it our mission to make sure that people know where they stand from a heart health condition, holistically, stress related, nutrition related, fitness related, whatever it may be, just getting people to understand that, hey, heart disease is the number one killer of all people, with African American being at the top of that list. And 80% of heart disease can be prevented by, one, making sure that you know where you stand from a heart health standpoint. Number two, being able to make lifestyle changes that can make sure you're not on medication, that can turn your numbers around. And then number three, if you find yourself in a crisis and you don't know what to say, or you don't have the words, you don't feel like you have a voice, then call us. We're going to come advocate for you, because we've walked the walk and we know that the healthcare system, there are some biases, there's some racism there. There's a lot of things there, man, that contribute to the disparities. And we want to make sure that we're providing a service for people to be able to go in there and come out okay, man. So we have a mobile unit that goes out every weekend. We're in the communities of color providing free heart screenings, free information. Our doctor's on the unit with us, so people get free doctor visits on site. We got 3 more mobile units coming down the pipeline to cover the entire state of Texas. And then we're going to move across the South where heart disease is more prevalent. So we're trying to cover the whole bottom of the map, especially my crib. So Louisiana is next to Texas. That's going to be our next stop. We're going to bring mobile units. We're going to bring healthy lifestyles and health consciousness to our people, man. And that's what we're trying to do.
Most definitely, and you always been one of my favorite. My little brother, you talked to him earlier during the day, and like he said to you, he wanted to give you your flowers while he had the opportunity, how inspirational you were to him as a quarterback, and unfortunately, he transferred to Delta, and we're going to have him on the show to tell the story about the real start in the beginning of transferring out of Bastrop High. But when we come back, we're going to get the final thoughts with Fred. We're going to get more about health, and we're going to see what he's doing and what his plans are for the future and get some links so you guys can reach out and join his association. When we come back after this intermission, we'll wrap it up with one of the greatest to ever do it from the class of 1994, Ram for Life. I'm going to say the best quarterback in Ram football history, Mr. Fred Hoston, after we return after this intermission.
Fast life. Purpose right. You ain't the hustler, baby. I'm on it. Running me a check, couple niggas neck coming through that blue. Shit, I hit them boys, talking them vaginas, ain't gon' do shit. They ask you who I be, tell them people I'm the truth, bitch. Don't tell them people I'm the truth, bitch. I got J's on my feet, I got J's on my street. I get paid, get them whipping that D, take it straight to that street. The money get made, them niggas be hating, them bitches be going crazy. Draco close by, I ain't waiting on God to save me. Christian Luke cost me a couple G's, niggas ain't keeping up with me. I heard they had enough of me, fuck 'em. Them niggas stuck with me, quote that, post that. I'm the shit, you know that. Picture perfect,
Welcome back. This portion of the show is being brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club. Sincerely, Mo Cleaning of Strop City, Louisiana. Hey, we're still here with the legendary quarterback that everyone want to sleep on and don't want to talk about in the conversation. One of the finest, I'm going to say, to ever do it, Mr. Fred Hoston. You know, before we went to intermission, you was sharing with us about your Heart Association Foundation that you started on behalf of your wife and the trauma that she went through dealing with heart conditions. But what are some of the things that you're seeing out there, especially with the African-American community?
One of the things I see, Ben, that's really discouraging is the number of black men who are I'm not going to say not concerned with, but they have apprehensions, and some of them are definitely warranted, but who have apprehensions about finding out where they stand from a health standpoint. And our tagline with my organization is called Stronger Black Communities Through Healthier Black People. And what I tell people, if we're going to save the black community, if we're going to have stronger black communities, it's got to start with the black man. So I try my best, and I want to always encourage black men to find out where you stand, not just from a heart health standpoint, but from a holistic standpoint. Find out where you are health-wise, because without us, man, there is no black family, and we have to be strong enough to lead by example. We have to be strong enough to be vulnerable, strong enough to get uncomfortable, strong enough to make sure that we are here for those people who depend on us, for those people who look up to us, and those people who love us, because God sent all of us here to feed people, man. You know what I'm saying? There's an old saying that a tree does not bear fruit to feed itself. So we are all here to pour into other people. Our lives are not our own. And in order for us to live out this purpose that God has put us here for, we got to be healthy. We cannot testify to the goodness of God, to how great life is, if we're not in a healthy place. So black man, black woman, get to the doctor, touch the healthcare system in some shape or form, and find out where you stand from a health standpoint, and find out what needs to be done to make sure you are the healthiest, happiest, most productive person you can be. And that's what it's all about.
You know, and we appreciate everything that you are doing. We're proud of you for being a Strop City and representing us very well. And like I say, you're always going to be my favorite quarterback. But I want you to share with the people the links that they can social media sites that they can reach out to you, because you're also a personal trainer. So give them some links that they can reach out and learn from the best.
Absolutely. My personal training page on Instagram is Heal.Temple or Healthy Temple. That's HEAL.THY.TEMPLE. I kind of fell off as far as posting because I needed to step away from the background noise for a minute, but I'm about to jump back on there and start doing my thing as far as the health and fitness goals. But as far as my organization, on all social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I'm not on TikTok, but my wife is. But Black Heart Association, one word, Black Heart Association. Follow us. If you're ever in Texas and we're at an event, you can find out where we are. You can pull up and get screened. All of our services are free to the community. We do a genetic test that tells you where you stand as far as predisposition for suffering a heart attack or a stroke. That is not influenced by your lifestyle. That's what your mom and daddy gave you. We do a cholesterol panel. We do a prostate screening for men. For pregnant women, we do a screening for them as well. So we got a whole lot of screenings we do, man, to find out where you stand. And again, you can see the doctor on site. We have other resources, to make sure that we're covering all the bases, man. We want to cross all the T's, dot all the I's when it comes to helping our community be better, be healthier, be happier, be stronger. Black Heart Association. Follow us on Facebook. We have a page, a national page called Black Doctor Locator. If you have a specialty area or if you're looking for a primary care doctor, I don't care what it is, anywhere in this country, we have a locator that will find an African-American doctor for you in that area. So check us out.
Most definitely. And we always ask all our guests, final thoughts. Looking through a glass, what would you like to tell your beloved city or Strop City from the heart of legendary Fred Hoston?
Real simple, man. I've always loved Bastrop. I still love Bastrop. I'll always love Bastrop. The people of Bastrop, the love that's in Bastrop. If I could look through a glass and talk to my people, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and the rest will take care of itself, man.
Right, bro. We appreciate you for coming on, man. You to share these jewels and gems, and we finally got to hear from the man himself. Now we don't have to debate about it no more. People can reach out and talk to you and ask you about your high school career, and we're going to continue to push you being one of the greatest to ever do it, bro. And I love you, and I appreciate everything you did for me as a wide receiver and trying to keep me in the ball game. You know how old Rick was, but man, if it weren't for you, and if it weren't for you and Coach Evans, bro, I think I'd have quit a long time ago.
Yeah. No, man, I love you too. I'm just glad that I came through with a group of guys, man, that had love for each other. You know what I'm saying? And not to say that other classes didn't, but I know what I experienced. We loved each other, and we showed that. And I'm blessed, and I'm better for it. And thank you for the work that you're doing, man. You're shining a light on a lot of stuff that would have not been talked about otherwise. People would not have the opportunity to experience this whole thing if it wasn't for you and what you're doing, man, because you know how to, you only Outkast said you only funky as your last cut, man. So as we get older and the kids get younger, it's out of sight, out of mind. So I'm glad that you're shining a light on the thing that's called Bastrop, Louisiana, because there is a light in that city, man, and it's been there. So I'm just glad that you making sure that it's shining. So you keep shining.
Most definitely. I appreciate you for stopping through, man. And I just love you, man. And I'm glad that you took out the time to stop through, man. And there's anything that we can do that's continue to link up here at Emerge 360, bro. We ride with you, Freddie.
Absolutely, man. I love y'all. I appreciate it.
Most definitely. Hey, y'all heard it from the legend himself, one of the best to ever do it, Fred Hoston, one of the best quarterbacks from the class of 1994. It's debatable, but it's real. Hey, this has been brought to you by Involved Social and Civic Club, Bracell Family Insurance Agency. This has been another episode of Beyond the Game. Hey, I'm your host, Maserati. Y'all get involved. Y'all stay encouraged. And most of all, y'all stay immersed. Hey, here's a hit from the wide receiver that he threw most of his touchdowns to from the class of 1993. Here's Hazo Causey with the 1-on-1. We out of this thing.
I need that one-on-one. You back against the wall, here I come. You can count on me. I need that one-on-one. When you only get one call, here I come. And you can count on me. I need that one-on-one. hustler, that's where I'm from. When you never leave a pad without packing your gun. The pressure that I feel weigh a metric ton. Cause back in that trap is my oldest son. I need a one-on-one. Don't guess, don't wonder, just come. I need that one-on-one. When hanging with them soldiers ain't fun. But first things first, I got to shake him loose. But you gotta keep in mind that he was raised in that boot. But you gotta keep in mind that I was raised in that boot. So it's like who you talking to, who you talking to. But the wrong state of mind